You Can Negotiate Anything by Herb Cohen. Oof. Alright, I'll tell you what. This is a book, and I think it's something. Negotiation, right? Super important. And the whole, like, first smack of the book is about why negotiating is so important. You use it every day. Business, life. Super, like, you know, obviously important skill to be able to get, you know, your words to turn your actions, your desires into reality. Um, and it's a really interesting book. The main takeaways from the book are it talks about, first of all, negotiating styles, so different ways to go into negotiations and identify, how your counterparts can negotiate. So you're looking at just the basics of, this is a negotiating style, these are tactics that go behind it, here's another style, tactics, here's another style, the tactics behind it. And then there's a lot of examples in the book about using different negotiating styles and different tactics to either manipulate situations or work towards new ways to get really what you need out of a negotiation, or what you want, or seeing how maybe someone else has used them to get exactly what they want out of it. So it talks a lot. It's a very example heavy book. It's a really good book. I like the way that it mixes the fundamentals with examples, because it reinforces the negotiating tactics, the fundamental, the principles really behind the negotiating types, and then those types are well expanded with the examples. So a really memorable scene, they were talking about, so there's like three, you know, main negotiating types that Herb talks about. And he was talking about, there's this really extreme type, and he goes very in depth into everything he talks about. But with this one in particular, it was like they have an extreme price change, or they want one thing really bad and they'll go hardcore. And then it talks a lot too about like not caring about people or caring a lot about people. I'm gonna talk about another negotiating book soon. It talks more about empathy, but this one really goes into the fundamental baselines that I think, first of all, probably like just the basic negotiating book. But it talks a lot about psychology, human psychology, and deadlines too. Um, Deadlines are huge in this book because of the way Herb expands on it, and he talks about how negotiating and then sort of exposing unknown information. He doesn't talk a whole lot um, about like fundamental unknown truths. That's more in that other book. Um, but you get the basics down, you get the baselines down for why deadlines stand out, and then how you can have uh, your counterparts' tactics in your head so that you know what you're going up against. So there was this scene, and they were in New York, and they were trying to buy this building, right? And it was about how these negotiators used really aggressive tactics, where they offered, the building, say 50 million. They were like, we'll give you 14 million or something for it. And they bought an option, I believe. It was to just control it for like a year, so no one else could buy it. It took it off the market. And it was really interesting because they controlled it for a year. They didn't like touch the thing for 8 months, 11 months, I believe, off the top of my head. And then once the deadline started approaching, human psychology, deadlines coming up, we got to start doing stuff. We got to start getting this deal done. So they really started escalating the deal. And towards the end, and then, it was like the last 48 hours was when like 95% of the negotiating actually happened. Because, they're just not worried about it. It's like, we'll leave the deal out there until it gets to the end. And then when it gets to the end, they were going hardcore on it. It was really, really interesting. And there's a lot of really great examples in this book. Not just about super aggressive, but also, other negotiating styles you can use and you can blend to really get a good grip on negotiating. It's a really solid book, I think, probably for anybody that is in business. I mean, it's like you read the back of it. It just tries to sell it to you like no one else. But it's like it's really useful because the whole first like half a little bit of the book's about how negotiating is kind of in everyday life and how you can embrace it through just daily interactions, business, personal. I really think the book is really great for just anyone that wants to get a grip on their social interactions. So I would really recommend it. Very wide audience. Sweet. Hope you guys like it. There'll be a link below if you want to check it out. Sweet.